Ezfocus, always use Google Chrome. Do not use Explorer, for example, because it is a slower browser when it comes to data. So we don't want you to waste your time waiting for stuff to load, okay? The other thing too is that if you're using a smaller screen, you might not want to be at 100%. You might want to go to, so by clicking on the 3-dot button in the top right corner on Google Chrome, you can go to 80 or 90% depending on the size of your screen to see more data. I personally like 80%, but it's really up to you. But for the purposes of this call, in the 3-dot button, I'll leave it at 100. That way you see my screen properly, okay? The other thing, the website link is https://insights.ezfocus.ca. So please use this website when using Google Chrome, insights.ezfocus.ca. Everybody has their credentials. Neil, you're okay? Are you in Ezfocus?
Yeah, all
You're
good.
Good. Okay, you were able to log in. Perfect. Okay, so the way it works, if I start with the bar completely on top, you have the last completed period, October. So we do follow the BCLDB periods and exact dates, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? Then you have a product search and an account search. So we're going to start with the product search today. So in the product search, you can type in any product name, product code. So in this case, let's go with Kim Crawford. And you'll always have access to the biggest seller on the top of your screen to the smallest seller at the bottom of your screen. And it's basically popping the top 50 SKUs. All of the hyperlinks in blue will bring you to a new tab and a new report. So if you click on the product code of Sauvignon Blanc Kim Crawford, you'll have a 4-year view of the product. So in one click, one SKU, product code, you have access to, okay, somebody did change, oh, I should have, what is this? Price on top, I have no idea. Let me just delete this. I'm going to delete the templates that are there. Let me just refresh. Okay, there you go. I don't know if somebody created a template, but clearly, okay. So just click on the product code and you'll have access to a 4-year view of the product period over period performance. So the first bucket is going to be the total sales for the SKU. And in actual cases, okay? So the measure, when it comes to any reports, you can change the measure to your liking. If ever, for example, you want to see this report in actual cases, you can always switch it. And the little refresh button here, that looks like, well, the refresh button will recalculate based on your different measure. So in most reports, we've put the 9-liter cases. So it's really up to you if you want to change that preference to something else. So if you want to see all products in 9-liter cases and whatever report that we've kind of built for you doesn't satisfy your needs, you just have to click on the little plus button here and resave the report. So 4-year report, I'll call it actual cases. Okay. And then I save my template. And when you're saving a template, it's either you having access to it within the dropdown of the report, or you can put it as default. If you put it as default, it means that if you click on a specific report or any other SKU for that matter for the 4-year report, it's going to be with your preferences, your time, well, your measure in this case. Okay, so by clicking on this. And if ever you are or you want to impose or share any template that you've created with any of your colleagues for whatever reason, you can. You simply need to check off their name. And as soon as you close this button, it will be sent to them and they will have access to it. So your report, basically, when you refresh your browser, you'll have access to the Ezfocus template in the dropdown, as well as your default that you've set yourself. So it's very important when it comes to setting your preferred report, because this will follow you through all the other reports we're going to go to. In this report, it's pretty limited because you only have access to the actual cases, which you can select. But in other reports, you'll have a lot more flexibility when it comes to saving a report on your end. Any questions on saving a report by clicking on the little plus button? No
Oh,
problem.
hi, Marika. Sorry, another quick question about the browser. Is it okay if we use the Microsoft Edge?
No, no.
Oh, okay. So
Edge,
only
yeah.
Google Chrome. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Chrome or Firefox, but Edge Explorer is not good. No,
Okay, got it. Thanks.
no. Now, if I continue with the report, so you have the total sales month over month with the different timeframes and on the top of each bucket. And then you have the retail over-the-counter sales, the ship to licensee sales, ship to LRS, ship to licensees, agency stores. Keep in mind that if ever there's a bucket that's not there, it's because there are no sales in that channel. So that can happen with a very low or very high-end SKU, low volume SKU, high-end SKU. Then you have your distribution total, which basically includes the retail distribution based on sales rolling one, the LRS distribution based on sales, the agency distribution as well. And then if we continue scrolling down, you have access to a retail history of the SKU for the last 4 years. And the wholesale. So retail and wholesale are here. So you guys are pretty lucky because you are the BCLDB for all of the clients that have conditional listing SKUs with you that are an Ezfocus client. You'll actually see the conditional wholesale prices for our clients. If ever it's not one of our clients, it's an estimated 70% wholesale based on the retail. So for most SKUs in the market, you'll actually see the correct wholesale.
And how do we know whether they're an Ezfocus
Customer or
client
not?
or not? Yeah.
That's a good question. There's no way. I'll take a note of that. We have our client list on our website, but we don't have like an official BC client list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But,
one other question from me as well.
Yeah.
The retail price, is that done from like an internet trawl, or how do you
Mhm.
gather that?
Exactly. So we go and data scrape the BCLDB's website
Okay, got it. Thank you.
for the BCLDB SKUs. Yeah.
And retail is referring to all the GLS BCLDB stores, right? As opposed to LRS?
Exactly. So for the okay, that's a really good question. So we do have an FAQ on the top right corner here with a little exclamation point or question mark, I should say. And under Ezfocus alcohol, I'm just going to go to BC because BC is one of the most complicated provinces when it comes to pricing. So where do the wholesale and retail prices and thus how do we calculate dollar sales? So for the BCLDB, for the vast majority of our SKUs, we got belonging to clients, retail and wholesale prices. Then we go to the electronic price list. And an approximate retail price is calculated even though the product is not listed at the BCLS. Then we go to the BCLDB website for conditional listing types based on the retail, and we calculate an approx wholesale of 70%. And then we use the Barnet source. So because you're the BCLDB, the first point, so Downs sees their wholesale, but Sharon Hobbs will not see Downs wholesale when it comes to conditionals, but you do.
Okay.
But yeah, so we have 4 different sources when it comes to pricing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so this is the first report, the 4-year report. I'm going to go back to the other screen and I'm going to go to the other reports that are accessible to you. So the category, brand, supplier, and agent will basically pull you all the SKUs of the category for New Zealand. So I'll click on that. If I click on Kim Crawford, we'll have all the Kim Crawford SKUs in a new tab here. I'm going to let them load. If I click on Constellation as a supplier or Arterra as an agent, I'll have all of the SKUs for that agent or supplier. And as you can see on the top of my screen, the names of the tabs apply to what I clicked on. So if I start New Zealand white, I basically have all of the SKUs within the New Zealand white category from the biggest seller to the smallest seller. And as you can see here, I have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to playing around with the information that's on my screen if ever I want to change anything. But the main one that's really key for you guys is the measure. The others will automatically populate by product, segment wines, so you know what you're looking at, and it will pull the top 2,000 SKUs, so you should be good. So don't really have to play around with those. Now, it looks like an Excel spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
It means that you can actually play around with the data that's on your screen. So the first thing that's really key is that you can drag and drop whatever you want in the top left corner to add subtotals. I want to see the New Zealand wide category by brand, drag and drop, and then I can see how it's doing by brand.
Oh, cool.
I want to see it by supplier instead of by brand, drag and drop. I want to see it by listing type, drag and drop. Okay. So that's simple to add subtotals within our reports. Now, if you want to add, maybe you want to see who the agent is for these SKUs and it's not on your report. So the column chooser here allows you to add data to your report or add additional columns. So here, the product details column gives you access to a bunch of different things. So let's say I wanted to add the agent. So the agent, this is our national standardization versus the provincial agent. The provincial agent comes from your data set. The best example I could tell you would be Arterra, for example, where they might have within your own database, not under all the Arterra umbrella, we actually put everything under Arterra. So the provincial and the national agent might vary. So I'm just going to add both to show you the difference. In this case, they're pretty much similar.
Would it show you what province they're the agent in if you click all? If it's a different, let's say if two products have different agents in different provinces?
Well, we standardize it nationally, so I'm not really seeing an example here, but
No, yeah.
here there's one, like the Living Vine
Okay.
is unassigned because it's not national.
Yeah.
In this case, so if I were you, I would just use the provincial because it will match with your own internal numbers.
Mhm.
In this case. Then you can have the category, the color of the wines we're in. Well, this wouldn't really be cool, but everything's going to be white because we're in the New Zealand white category. The date insert is pretty cool. So it's the time of when the SKU actually started having sales. So if it's been more than 5 years or the date of when it started having sales. So that's pretty cool. There's another one that I really want to there's the price segment that can be very practical if you want to analyze by price the whole category that's on your screen. And there's another one that can be very useful to you guys is the varietals. Okay, so at Ezfocus, if we know a wine's a Sauvignon Blanc in Ontario, we know it's a Sauvignon Blanc in BC. The data out east is actually better than the data out west, to be honest, when it comes to varietal and stuff like that. So we've standardized the main varietals nationally. So this can help you see, especially if you take care of the wine portfolio, to have access to varietal information. So varietal is very key. Well, the status of the SKU can be useful, active or not active. The rest, there's a lot of stuff, but the date insert, the color could be useful if you're doing multiple categories at the same time. So basically pick and choose, the information that's useful or that you want to see on a regular basis. And just make sure to save your template and make it your default when it comes to SKU information. Now, if I continue and I scroll down outside of the product information, you have access to the price, so wholesale and retail. Okay, so up to you if you want to add, them side by side, for example. I can always add the wholesale price here. And now I can see both side by side for all SKUs. Distribution at retail.
How frequently is the retail price updated?
Once a month.
Once a month, okay.
Yep. Okay, so promo and period to date don't apply to the BCLDB, so I'll skip those because it's for weekly sales that we get out west. And then you have access to monthly data. Okay, so you have 2 years of historical months. Like if I click on this, so instead of seeing just the rollings and everything, you can actually have a full year or two of month over month performance. So this can always be a neat way of looking at the data, especially if you want to do forecasting or anything like that. And then you have access to your 4 channels available in BC. So if you wanted to compare retail versus LRS versus on-premise versus agency, just expand with the little triangle. You'll have all of the different timeframes, and it's up to you which timeframes you want to add. So in this case, if I add retail sales data, as you can see, my retail sales data is here. If I want to add the LRS channel, I'll go to rolling year and I'll just add that as well. The whole bucket. So now I have retail and private sales. Then you have access to the on-premise sales data as well. And the agency, if you want to compare them side by side. So as you can see, you have a lot of data at your fingertips. It all depends on what you want to analyze, how you want to analyze it, but really you have the flexibility of making your own report. Then after the 4 channels, you have access to the total sales. Okay. So total sales data with any timeframes that you want to see or add. Then you have the dollar sales rolling year and year to date. And then if you really want to do high level analysis, I'm just going to close this. You also have a 10-year history. So lots of options, lots of data. Now, again, once you've selected the columns that you feel that are the most important to you, depending on how you want to look at any report, just click on the Save button. I'm going to call it by channel, for example, 9-liter cases, and I'm going to save it. And then if I save it as my default, now every time I go to my product search and instead of writing Kim Crawford, I'm going to write Bacardi. Spirits rum white. Now it's going to be with the different channels I had put, the different SKU attributes that I wanted. Now the report is how I want to see it every time I use the product search, because you'll be spending a lot of time in the product search. So if there's a specific way you want to, see the data on a regular basis, if you want a very, a smaller report versus a big report, it's really up to you how many columns you want to add. The only thing that you do have to keep in mind is that there is a maximum of 50. So if ever you try to add more than that, you will have the red bar telling you you've reached your max, remove columns to add some. Any questions up until now?
That was amazing. So
Okay.
I remember Leslie saying that you guys are usually like a month behind. It's not.
Good question.
Yeah.
So there's a little bell here that basically tells you when the data becomes available. Okay. So October, P7 has been available since the 8th, so last week. Okay. But there is the run too. So for local wineries, this will be available around the 20th.
Okay.
But you can always go back in time. So if ever, like, for example, we're in run 1 and you take care of Canadian wines, you might want to go to, P6 data. Yeah. To have the whole complete data set on your screen.
Okay. So you can get the whole rolling year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The complete data set. Okay. The other thing I also want to mention is that you can play around with the data on your screen more than just dragging and dropping. So let's say you wanted to see the brand Havana Club only. You can go under brand in the column and just type in Havana, and it will automatically filter on the SKU. There's only one, Havana Club. Okay. So you can type in anything in any of the columns and it will automatically filter or sort based on what you're checking. If you want to put it in alphabetical order by brand, you can click on the name of the title and it will automatically sort. And if you double click, it's going to do the opposite as well. If you want to select multiple brands, you can click on the little funnel here. And, I want all the Bacardis. I could have typed in Bacardi as well, but let's say Bacardi, Captain Morgan, and scroll down and basically click just a few for whatever reason. Okay. So that allows you to filter. And the other neat thing too, I'm going to go here and I'm going to use it as an example. Where is my pricing? So of course I have my retail prices here, so I can always filter by a specific price segment. But let's say you want to add your own price bracket, or without even adding the column, you want to create your own rule. By clicking on the magnifying glass, you can create a rule. So let's say I want to see prices between, I don't know, $10.99 and $11.99 only. Okay. And then it will pull the two SKUs that are in those price points. Reset. I can also create a rule. Okay, so I want to know all of the SKUs that are actually trending positively in retail stores at the BCLDB. So I can actually click on the magnifying glass greater than 0 in the percentage change, and I'll see all of the SKUs that are trending positively. Not many in this case, there's 16. Set. So it's very easy to play around with the data once it's loaded. So if ever it takes a little, maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds to load, once it's loaded up, you can play around with the data on your screen. You can also play around with the length, the widths of the columns. Everything will be saved once in your template. So everything you've moved around, everything you've sorted, everything rules or regs will also be saved in your template, not only the look and feel of the report. So lots of flexibility, lots of data. And now I will go delete the report I just created. There you go. So remember, I had initially clicked on the rum category, on the New Zealand category. Then I went to rum. Then, where's my King Crawford? My Arterra wines here. All of the Arterra SKUs are here. King Crawford. Sorry, I'm not seeing the top of my screen here. It's really annoying. Because of Teams. So all of the tabs are there. So just keep in mind that whatever report you save and set as your default will apply to all of the market reports, which are category, brand, supplier, and agent. So that template is very key if you want to have something different to what we've put on your screen. Any questions? Okay. The last report that's, oh, go ahead.
No, I said I don't think so, not yet.
The last report you have access to is the top accounts. So for any particular SKU, if you want to see what their top accounts are, just click on top accounts for that SKU. And what's really cool with this report is that it's giving you how the product is performing, but also how the category is performing. So you're going to see how the rums are doing versus Bacardi Superior 1.75. And unfortunately, LRS and licensee data is not available to you guys, only the BCLDB accounts and performance.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so somebody created a template here as well. I don't know who created these templates though. I'm gonna, because it's not me, I'm just gonna refresh again. I mean, the inventory is cool, but if you want to have access to more, the Ezfocus template is going to give you access to what I just mentioned.
So what was just there was all the store, the GLS
all the stores was
stores
just the inventory.
with inventory. Okay,
Yeah.
but we can see which products are selling well in which store.
Yes.
As well?
So in this
Yeah.
case, for example, here I can see that the store 167 is the biggest store for this particular SKU because it's ranked from the biggest to the smallest account based on Bacardi White. So I see here the little arrow. So I know the biggest accounts for that particular SKU. I can see there was 51 bottles in that store. So the store inventory in BC dates from Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we do on the BCLDB website once a week. So inventory at the beginning of the week. And here you can see how the rum category is actually down 7.2% in that particular store. It has 1.2% share of market. And in this case, I can see the rolling 3 of the product, the rolling year of the product, and it's actually down minus 4.5 and represents 1.4% of share of market.
The share of market is based on BCLS stores only, or
Yes.
includes LRS as well?
Yes, BCLDB stores only. So it's
Okay.
the total sales of the SKU divided by the total here
Got it.
for all the stores. Yeah. And then if you click on any, wait, before I go to another report, keep in mind that you can easily create a gap report. So if you want to know all the accounts that are currently in out of stock, for example, you just have to type in 0 here and it will automatically sort on the different accounts. And as you can see, there's a few accounts that do have sales in the last 2 years that should have inventory of this particular SKU. They're out, or they might have received it this week. If you have a big LTO coming up next week, you want to make sure to call on the stores to order stock greater than less than, I should say, who has less than 12 bottles, for example. So there's way of easily checking that data. Okay. And then if you click on the hyperlink of the store number, store 167, then you're accessing the account information. And you'll have access to where the account is located, telephone number, contacts, and all that. And then if you go on the second tab, it might be less useful to you guys, but it's basically going to tell you how the different categories are performing for this particular account. So you can see that refreshment, cooler spirits is the biggest category for this store, and all the other categories after it. And then if you click on, let's go to Canada white wine. If you click on the product, on the category code, then you'll have access to the top 200 SKUs and how they're performing in that particular account. So if ever you have a big programming happening in a specific account, this can always be fun to look at. Or if you're, or a specific category, yeah. And then you'll have access to the top sellers from the biggest to the smallest seller, and how they're performing in the account. Any questions for account information?
So with that last one, you're in the BCLS, and you've got like all the different tabs up there. So if you want to, is it account search that you do?
Well, the way I did it was through the top accounts, right? So I've started here. But to your point, like Kim Crawford, okay, what are their top accounts? Why is it not working? Okay, the top accounts for any particular SKU here. So it will bring you to the top accounts tab, and you'll have access to all of the account numbers. But if you want to use the account search and just type in store 167, you can access it that way as well.
Okay.
It all depends on, what you want.
So
to
if I
analyze.
wanted to, you may like just reiterate this. So if I want to look at a specific product and see what the top accounts are, I put the product in first and then do the accounts. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just click on the top accounts for any particular SKU. Yeah. And you'll have the top accounts.
Perfect.
With performance and inventory and all that. I didn't go through the columns here, but you do have access to, additional, if you wanted to add the address of the city and the city to your report, you could. The postal code, the longitude, latitude. If ever there's any interest, you'll have access to that in the general info. You don't use the CRM. And then in the market, you can always have access to how the market is doing here. Just click on the different data sets when it comes to the industry data. And then you have access to all of the different timeframes for the performance of the particular SKU you clicked on. So it's really up to you again to decide, which data sets you want to see on your screen.
So with your market data, but that would include the LRSs and.
No, it's always BCLDB. It's
Only
always
BCLDB.
BCLDB.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, I clicked on Bacardi Superior White, so I know that the rum category is performing at this level, and Bacardi, that particular SKU, is selling that much within that category.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're basically comparing how one SKU is performing versus.
Against the other.
So I don't know why this is not working when I'm on this tab, but I'll create a ticket on that. So that kind of covers the reports you have access to in one click. So the 4-year report, the industry market reports, and the top accounts for any SKU. Now you have access to another report, which is called Market Reports Summary by Category. So this is not a product level report. It could be, but this is basically allowing you to look at the overall province and how it's performing as a whole at a macro level view. Which are the top agents? Who are the top categories? In this case, there was a template that's called Category by Channel, Spirit. So there was already a template saved here. So the top spirits categories and how they're performing. So the product search, let's leave it by product. Here, it's by category. So if ever you wanted to switch it up, the grouping will be key for you here. So if you wanted to know the top agents for spirits, change the grouping, refresh, and you'll be able to see who the top agents are, who the top suppliers are. If you wanted to see the price points, if you wanted to see anything really, the grouping allows you to change your rows to analyze the data to your liking. So here I'm seeing the top agents for spirits. Okay. But I have access to the top brands, the top categories, by channel if I wanted to see the spirits category, by country, listing type, price segment, supplier, varietals when it comes to wines, can be practical as well. So you have access to different groupings. Let us go to channel for fun, and to see the overall category or province as a whole. So for example, here I can see, it's a weird view, but I can see how the retail stores are doing for spirits, how the LRS stores are doing, the on-premise, and the agency. But this report was already broken down by channel, so yeah, so that's what it's giving. If I wanted to see it by brand, this might take a little, it probably will take longer to load. Let's see how long it takes. So the key to this one is really changing the grouping to what you want to analyze at a high level. So the top brands, and I can do the same thing. I can just switch it to spirits, to wines if I wanted to, and see what the top wine brands are in the market. Now, there's something I didn't speak to you about earlier. There's this little chevron here that allows you to change or to drill down to something a little bit more specific. So let's say you wanted to know the top brands, but not for all wines, but maybe for a specific country. So I could go to country of origin France here, and I can actually pull the top brands for French wines. So in this case, you can select specific provincial categories, specific listing types, and how they're performing. So if you wanted to see how a specific supplier is doing by brand, this allows you to drill down and analyze a bit more your report. So here I can see the top French brands. So this one can be practical, especially at the macro level report, to be more specific.
Okay.
So it's hidden on the left. So whenever you do create a report for French wines, I would recommend clicking on the plus button, calling it top French brands, for example, and saving it. That way, you know, when you're back in this macro level view, you'll have access to your top French brands. That way you don't have to go back there and re-click. I'm going to go delete it. Any questions on this one?
Of course,
The
all
other
this can
report,
be, these can all be exported as well into Excel. Yeah. So
good question. Yes, on the top right, you have Excel and PDF. So if you click on the little Excel button, it will populate. Oh. And whatever filters that you've selected, the dates and all that, period will be on your, where is it opening?
Oh, wow.
There you go. So, yeah. With all the data. The PDF one though, if ever there's too many columns, it's going to give you a warning. So you
Mhm.
please choose less than 25 columns because it is static. So you are limited on that front when it comes to PDF.
Okay.
Good question. And the last report you have access to is sales team reports, all stores and licensees. So this one allows you to see what the top accounts are, not for a specific SKU, but if you wanted to see a specific category. Same thing as the top accounts to a certain extent, because you do have the category in a column and the product you're comparing it to. This one is very similar without the SKU you're comparing. The neat thing too is also if you did want to know like the licensee accounts or the LRS accounts, you do have access to the list of accounts, just no sales. Oh, and while I have you guys on the call, we had put your, I think your district managers here, but like over a year ago. So I don't know if you guys have access to an updated list. We could probably update those for you. Now, let us do. Okay. So what's cool with this report is that let's say you wanted to see how the overall market is performing as a whole by district manager, you can just drag and drop the district manager in the top left corner and it's going to add the subtotals for all of the different reps. So that's always a way of seeing their performance. Drag it and drop it. And then, well, if you wanted to drill down to the top spirit accounts overall as a whole, you can just see who the top spirits accounts are in BC. And then if you want to drill down to something more specific, so here you can see the overall performance for all spirits per account. You can go to the little chevron here on the left and go to a specific category. So if you wanted to, I don't know, like see all gins, well, you can actually pull the top gin accounts using the category filter here, refresh, and you'll see how all stores are performing for all gins. And again, if there's several reports that you know you want to look on a regular basis, just make sure to save them. Any questions?
Not off the top of my head. Anybody else?
No, I think it's all pretty clear so far.
Well, you can break it. If ever you, so play around with it. If ever you do see this scrolling, like the loading bar, loading for like a minute, and don't wait an hour or something's wrong. So the way, if ever there's something, just make sure to send a full complete screen to my email, a print screen. So I don't know if you have the snippet, but just a full snippet of the whole thing. Marika, there's an issue with this report, and normally we're really pretty quick to fix it. I've had people sometimes say it loaded all night, or I'm like, well, why didn't you reach out to us? Something's wrong. So there's no point in waiting. It means something's off in the back of the report. So that's, and we have to recreate it on our end to fix it. So by knowing exactly where you are and what was selected in terms of options, it helps us fix it faster. I think if there's anything else that I might have, oh, there's one thing I didn't mention. Do you sometimes need to see like over-the-counter backdoor licensee sales per account?
Yeah,
you have
maybe.
the-
Not typically. We typically just focus on counter sales for any of our
Yeah.
numbers.
Okay, well, right now it's the total sales in all of the accounts. So if ever you do want to see over the counter only, you do have the option of excluding the rest of the data in the main filter here. So again, save it if you don't want to see the total sales in an account, and you'll have the the just numbers if that's the only thing you want to see in your data sets. Yeah, there's licensee pool, vector, yeah. So it's really these two that really have an impact, backdoor to licensees and over-the-counter sales. So that can be useful sometimes.
So the sales
Um,
number and the category reports are including everything, right? Not
Total,
just counter
yes, includes
sales.
everything,
Okay.
but if you take
And wholesale,
retail,
okay.
it's gonna be, yeah. So if I go to the provincial ones, you have access to retail, private, on, and yeah. So it includes all retail, yes, sales. Over the counter
I mean,
and
include
backdoor.
both. Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
So sorry, can you repeat that? That retail sales, it'll all just be over the counter, not what's going to the licensees?
You know what, let me reconfirm it,
Yeah.
because it says retail stores, I think it includes all that is sold at retail,
Out of retail.
no matter
yeah.
where, if it's over the counter or, but I'll reconfirm that just to be sure.
And can you, in this, I don't see where
Oh,
you
wait,
can.
I know how I can double check that though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pick retail. I'm gonna add the R1 here, retail, and I'm just gonna look, so the King Crawford 10, okay, I'm just gonna click on the King Crawford link.
Mhm.
So King Crawford was selling at retail 2,654 cases, 9 liters. And then the King Crawford Sauvignon Blanc here, it's an actual case of them. Okay, it's the same thing, it's 12. Retail over the counter, 2.6. Okay, so I just answered the question. So it is over the counter. The retail here is over the counter sales.
Over the counter. Okay.
yes.
Over the counter. Got it.
Yes, well, I'll see if we can add that for clarity in the title. Yeah, so it's over the counter. So 2654, 1886. If I go to the 4-year report, I can see 2654, 1886, which is
86.
retail over the counter sales. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions?
I wanted to just double check on the data update timing. Like say if I
Mhm.
want to do like a very holistic high level overview of say period 7, it would be best for me to wait until November 20th. Right?
Yeah, the 20th, yes,
After
especially
the round
if you
2.
want to,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
the
got
20th.
it. Okay. So basically it's the same every month, like it's around like the 20ish.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
And sorry, what did you click on there to get that information again? It was
The
the alarm
little
bell.
bell.
Okay.
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
bell here, yeah. So here we're putting October, so we're saying October, but it's run 1, not run 2.
Okay.
So yes, so around the 3rd week of every month.
Right. So we could go to September, as you said before, we could go to September and
Exactly,
that
yeah, you can
detail,
go,
yeah,
you can go
to get
back
your
if you
112.
need to, yeah, to see the total. But I think winery sales are not, I don't remember which percentage it includes, or for somebody like Neil with spirits, I don't know if it has a big impact. More maybe for the wines.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with the being able, if you're looking at something that you want to see the rolling 12 with totals and just sort of how it's trending, that probably works to go back to that period.
Yeah, September, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh gosh, there's so much here to look at.
Yeah,
I just
don't get
have to
lost.
go through
Yeah.
and play with it and see what it, yeah.
And you can go down the rabbit hole. Just remember what you're trying to, what are you looking for? What do you want to?
What information you need. Yeah.
Yeah, what information you need. Yeah. By channel or not. And then, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And how far back you need to go.
Yeah, we're working on assortments right now, so that's for me anyways in Australia. So I've already can see how I can pull some info from it.
Yeah, bridal and price. That's really
Prices,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's performing and what's not.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Then I will send you a recap. Well, I will send you the link of the presentation as soon as it's finished loading. And if there's any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me by email or by phone.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marika. This was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks for your help.
Marika.
Appreciate it.
Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.